is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you with Maro's Aetherdrift teaser. Yes, baby. I'm a little late. I often get on this one as soon as it comes out, and I know that this isn't something that too many people even click on and watch, but it's honestly, like I've said many times, especially for those of you who've been following for a little while, I think that I do a lot for myself to start those hype trains going in the brew station up here, because Aetherdrift is now a relatively short time away. Spoiler season comes right after these blog posts from Maro, and then from that point onwards, it's on to early access, and fresh, delicious, juicy standard set will be hitting the client shortly after that. So it is always the my favorite point in the hype cycle, because it means we're getting close to some new cards, and it does feel like it's been a while. Foundations has been fun, but nothing like crazy. This is a full, like, fleshed out original MTG IP set, and from the little bits and pieces that I've seen already, I am incredibly hyped for it. It looks like there's going to be some cross synergies between the mount mechanics from OTJ and, of course, vehicles. I mean, the whole set is about this interplanar race, so there's going to be vehicles, lots of like artifact synergies. These are definitely the kind of sets that your brewmaster in chief gets excited about. So please excuse my rambling and the weird clothes and the different backgrounds. What you're seeing in the background here may not come as a surprise to too many of the people that have been following for a while. I'm at the house where I usually stay when I'm visiting my in-laws in Parma, in the north of Italy. So I've got 2 nights here, just gathering my bits and pieces, warm weather stuff, snowboarding boots, and various other bits of mountain equipment. And we're jumping in the car probably tomorrow or the next day and driving up into the mountains, into the Alps, where I will be spending about a month in a beautiful little chalet and snowboarding as much as I can with my son. So you won't see me very often between now and when I get back to Indonesia, but it's Maro's teaser. I haven't missed one since I started the channel, so I'm not about to start now. I'm going in relatively blind. I've read a few little bits and pieces here and there, so let's jump right in. Maro's Aetherdrift teaser. I'm 100% certain at this point that he just copy-pastes this initial bit every time, because it's always exactly the same wording. Before previews for Aetherdrift officially begin, I thought it would be fun to do another of my duelist-style teasers, where I give tiny hints of things to come. Note that I'm only giving you partial information. That sneaky little Maro. First up, here are some of the things you can expect. And this one just jumped. I mean, it's already got the Twitter sphere, or the X, social media platform, as I prefer to call it, because Twitter. I was never on Twitter. I started using Twitter when it was already X. This has been like making some waves. People are speculating, because it's a 1313 vehicle with crew 2, which is obviously a very low crew cost, for only 1 mana to cast, which is obviously also a very low casting cost. So where's the caveat here? Like, what else do I have to do? Note there's no full stop at the end of that one. Okay, no, he hasn't put full stops at the end of most of these, unless it's an actual sentence from. So that doesn't really give us any additional data or information, but regardless, I mean, it would just be too good to be true for there to be a vehicle that we can cast on turn 1, then on turn 2 play pretty much any creature, crew it, and swing for 13. Seems like that would be a little bit too bursto, so there must be some more text that he's omitting, that is like, as an additional cost to cast the spell, pay 5 life or discard your hand or whatever. There's going to be something to balance out the overpoweredness of the initial impression this is giving, because 1313 is no freaking joke. But regardless, I mean, might end up being the best card in the set. Who knows? I'm pretty excited to see what this is all about. And that brings us very smoothly into point number 2, which says that there's going to be a mechanic in the set called Start Your Engines. Makes sense, right? I wonder what that could mean. I'm going to hazard a guess, as I always do, and then we can come back and see, once spoilers have started, what I got right or wrong. But it sounds like, start your gentlemen, start your engines. It's the kind of thing that happens like before the race begins, So I'm assuming it might be something that just like gives all your vehicles haste so that you can attack with them the turn they entered or something like that. Or maybe there's a way that like by it reduces crew costs, or but it's obviously got something to do with the vehicles, right? Engines are in the vehicles, it's a vehicle set. So very excited to see how impactful this mechanic is going to be, whether it manages to claw its way out of the draft environment or if it's just something that's going to be relegated to limited. However, cool, nice, flavorful. The next point says there are going to be 3 planeswalkers that are native to one of the worlds visited and 1 non-native. They all get a desparked legendary creature version. So I'm assuming one of them is going to be Basri Ket, because I've seen some artwork. And I wasn't even making content for YouTube yet, but there was a time in Standard when we got to play with a really, really cool white tokeny based Basri Ket deck, and it was one of my favorite Magic decks. Like I said, before I started making content, I was playing the thing into the ground off camera. Super duper fun. I love that character. So I'm hyped about that one. The others, however, I could not even begin to hazard a guess. We know that Chandra hasn't been desparked, so it's obviously not Chandra. And she's on a bunch of the artwork we've seen for the set already. So I wonder what the others will be. But I know for sure one of them will be Basri Ket. Non-natives, because there's 3 planes. It's oh my god, how do you pronounce the but I know because I've watched some of the story on their podcast, and like the one of the planes where this set's taking part is a very small plane that they've referenced in a set from 12 years ago or something, when I was not playing Magic, during one of my mini breaks, and I can't even remember the name of the plane, frankly, but cool. Probably, whenever you get these legendary creatures, we're looking more at Commander, EDH, whatever. And as you guys know, not interested in that format at all. I'm all about the one-on-one. Me, my opponent. As soon as we start getting political and there's all these other people at the table, 100 card piles, the games go on for too long. It's just not for me. It's not a competitive thing. It just becomes more of a, let's play Monopoly with some friends and drinks. I guess it could be fun, but it's just never attracted me in any way. Next up, Cycle of Manila Legendary cards. Well, we've seen the same exact point when they were talking about foundations. So I wonder, the usual Sarah Angels and dragons and all the things that, I don't know. Cool. Especially for new players and whatnot, but it's probably not going to be that amazing. Then we got cat and dog mounts. So here we go, the capital M mounts. What I was saying earlier about the tie-in with the OTJ mounts, where both mount cost and crew cost are essentially the same thing, just for different, one isn't an artifact vehicle, usually it's a creature mount, and then you'll have artifact vehicles, but the mechanic works essentially in the same way, where there's a number that you need the thing that's either mounting or crewing to be in power, so that you can mount or crew. So pretty cool, and anything tribal gets my gears going. There's already some really good cat stuff going on in Standard right now, thanks to foundations. I would say it's close to being a significantly good deck. So dogs on the other side, there's literally nothing worth mentioning in the current card pool, but still cool. Next up, an old god returns and new gods are introduced. Hmm. Haven't we seen some spoilery stuff? I wish, for those of you who've been following along with my personal life nonsense over the last couple of months, I mean, I've just finished moving my whole house and life into a new house, plus planning this holiday and getting my children across the planet on aeroplanes and things. It's been very difficult for me to really keep as plugged into the goings on in the community as I usually am. So, even though I'm always on X and scrolling around and in my various Discord groups and things, I haven't really kept up too much with the like little bits of spoiler, bits of pieces of information that have leaked out or whatever from various MTG talk things. So I'm not even gonna hazard a guess. Just so I don't risk making an absolute fool out of myself. But I want to say something out of Amonkhet. Gods, right? Or maybe Theros. I wonder. Hmm. Hmm. An old god returns. New gods are introduced. Epic. I love me god cards. Bring it on. Then we got a new Lotus. Oh gosh. The last one that we got ended up being pretty broken in Commander, like to the point where I think it even got banned or something, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's going to make a huge splash in terms of standard, but I could be wrong, and it might just be one of the best cards in the set again, kind of similar to what I said about this 1313 vehicle over here. And that isn't to say that some of these points aren't somehow interconnected in Maro's sneaky little ways. Like maybe it's a Lotus vehicle. That would definitely be new. So cool. It's almost always when it's Lotus, it's something that taps for mana or at least gives you mana in some sort of a way. So that we'll have to keep an eye on that one for sure. Then we've got a cycle of multicolored gear hulks. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I think these will tie in very well with the draft archetypes where, you'll have like your Boros racing team will have like a certain color pairing, and there'll be a gear hulk that goes with it, and they'll do something slightly different with their racing machines and their mechanics and all of that, and there'll be 5 different color pairings and all of that. I'm oh my god, I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait. I'm gonna be still here on my holiday during early access, but I've already told the wife, sorry babe, I'm in a time zone where I can actually finally take full advantage of early access and not have to like wake up in the middle of the night as I do in Indonesia. I've got my laptop, I've got my microphone. I'm going to play early access for this set for you guys, with you guys, and record some content. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Gearhawks, multicolored, bring it on. Numerous mechanics from worlds visited get cameos. So I guess it's like, a little, they've been doing more and more of this, and I'm all for it, where it's like these, they're not full on like set mechanics that end up influencing the draft archetypes or anything like that. It's just like 1 or 2 cards maybe that have like a cool mechanic from 5 years ago, and it'll work exactly as it did back then, but it doesn't like, it's not like a full on focused thing from the set. It's just like maybe 1 or 2 cards, and that's really cool. Like, it adds a little bit of spice into the set. So bring it on. And then we've got a new vehicle artifact token, which I don't think we've ever had. I mean, we've obviously had artifact tokens, but artifact tokens that can also be crewed as a vehicle, I don't think we've ever had that. So that's really, really cool. Man, I love artifact sets and vehicle sets. The last one really was Kamigawa, and that was one of the best sets in a long time, like for me at least. So I could not be more hyped. So that wraps up this initial bit here, where they're just things you can expect, and then he usually moves on to rules text. And again, this is all like partial bits of line, and this is the part that I enjoyed reading the most because it really gets the brain going. These things are hard to guess at because it's just partial information. We haven't started spoiler season yet. How the heck am I supposed to know what any of this is? But here you can start to hazard some more in-depth guesses because it's actual text from the cards. So We've got one card here that's going to say somewhere on it, this creature saddles, mounts, and crews vehicles using its toughness rather than its power. Nice. Nice. Big booties. Big booty mounters. Big. That did not sound right. Big booty vehicle crewers. Nice. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. The whole, mill thing, even though it's obviously very unpleasant to go up against, has been one of my preferred, when I'm in those moods to play some control. Then I like to not just win by doing nothing forever and occasionally attacking the opponent with a man's land, the way Azorius has sort of ended up in the last maybe 2-3 sets since rotation, definitely. So, I've been doing the old Tiresian Mindbreaker and Jace in your deck alongside a bunch of sweepers and counter spells and things. And that's definitely a more satisfying win con than just palukering about and boring your opponent to death. But it's always been just those, Tiresian Mindbreaker and Jace, and it's the mill win con, and that's the fastest way of doing so. But it's always just been those 2 cards now for quite some time in my control-y based mill decks. And then there's been my other variant with the Breach the Multiverse into Jace, Breach the Multiverse into Jace. But it's still just Jace. So bring on some different alternative ways to mill the opponent out. Especially one which includes, which will trigger when you are drawing, which is what you want to be doing in control decks anyway. So I'm all for that. Bring it on. And then it looks like we've got ourselves a lovely little dinosaur anthem effect, which is cool. The more of these like tying into older sets to revitalize older cards that there was a time when every other matchup was going to be against Gruul dinosaurs, and then nowadays, ever since the oh my goodness, what was the name of the card? The 3-drop with Discover. The Discover. No, not the Discover mechanic. The oh my goodness. We've got one card now in Standard that still uses this mechanic that, for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of. Is it Discover? No, it's not Discover. It's now it's the Cage card, the 2-drop artifact that they're playing in the Selesnya Cage deck that has the mechanic where then when a certain condition is met, poof, you get to cast a thing for free. Once that card left, the 3-drop one, dinosaurs just kind of disappeared. No one's playing dinosaurs anymore. So whenever they do this thing, we're like a few sets later, let's show some love and bring in some new little bits and pieces so that we can revitalize some of those Ixalan cards that no one's playing anymore. Please, love that stuff. It really helps to keep the fresh brews coming. So hey, let's give dinosaurs another whirl. And we've definitely received some new dinosaurs since Ixalan that just haven't seen any play because all of the things I just said. So pretty, I love it when they do this. So hey, Dinosaur Anthem. Also, we saw just recently now that it was part of the what was it? They did like a world building, or was it a one of the stories starting or whatever? But we've seen. I even made a little post about it on YouTube. A new vehicle that's a 3-drop, and you pick a creature type when it enters, and then it's an anthem effect on a vehicle. Like I found that some really cool new design space that they've never put an anthem effect on a vehicle. Somehow they just keep finding new ways of like cross combining the different card types and creature types and things, and surprising even an old school player like myself. So, stick enough anthem effects in different places and in different card types, you get yourself a pretty cool tribal deck. And it can be put in so many different places. I'm really excited about that vehicle actually, because it's also a 3-mana 4/4 that can be crewed very low and anthems up your stuff, like even just in soldiers or you name it, it's gonna be sick. But I'm going on a tangent now. On to the next point. We've got whenever a player casts a spell they don't own. Okay. I mean, we all know how that can be done, but it doesn't happen very often. Looking at things like the robbery, outrageous robbery, that sort of stuff, where you yoink. There's the Rakdos dragon that has the adventure side in black, and when they did that cycle where the adventure was a different color from the really cool. Hasn't seen that much play of late, but that sort of thing, where you're casting stuff that you don't own. Doesn't happen so often, but I wonder what the rest of the text box is. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, dibbity doobity babbity, you draw a card or something epic. Tap, add red for each goblin you control. Yes! More goblin support. Goblins is already so freaking good. Like, I loved that deck that I put up back when Foundations just dropped, when I was doing the Agatha's Cauldron, like, goblin nonsense. Super fun. And like even just mono red as this would look like it's going, we haven't really gotten to use the Krenko mob boss again so much, and there's just a lot of goblin support. Like, let's finally create this perfect storm of goblin cards available in standard that we can actually get a really legitimately good like tier 1 goblin deck that wins tournaments. I'm all for that, so bring it on. And this type of thing where you can tap your creatures to produce mana so that you can produce a buttload of mana, go super wide if you're goblins, and then tap them all for red, and then do some stupid big fireball effect or something. Those are the types of jank that I enjoy a lot, so bring it on. Then we've got during turns other than yours. Okay, sorry, when the opponent's playing. I guess in Commander there's more than one other opponent, but this vehicle is an artifact creature. Hmm. 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 So when it's your turn, it's a vehicle. But then it just becomes a creature as soon as it's not your turn. So it's only safe from creature removal when it's your turn. But when it's the opponent's turn, it's a creature and they can hit it with a go for the throat or whatever. Well, no, because it's an artifact, but you know what I'm saying. Eh, eh. Seems bad. Maybe it's got flash. Who knows? Whenever you activate an exhaust ability. See, there we go. He's so sneaky, Maro. What's an exhaust ability? Obviously, this is one of the new little mechanics, in this vehicle set. Exhaust. Exhausts, push out waste material from combustion engines. So I guess some sort of like exhaust ability. You put on your exhausts to compact your. I have no idea. But drawing cards are good. Drawing cards is really good. It's probably the best thing you can do in the game. Nice, nice, nice. Exhaust ability, but it doesn't have a capital E there. Clever little Maro. Next up, put any number of permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Well, that's always a broken line of text. I think the most recent version of this effect we got is the 12/12 dinosaur guy, Galfa or whatever. That play it or reanimate it or cheat it into play in some way, and then you can put all the other permanents into your hand on the board at the same time. It's that type of deck would like to use this kind of thing, like your what's the ambush card, the green rare thing with spree, the green spree rare card with the Trojan horse on the front page. Surprise, something surprise. I would love this type of card, even though they've already got something like it. Redundancy piece, whatever. Mostly janky, but who knows? Maybe it's a much cheaper, much more easy to obtain version of this effect, and then you're putting stupid things like Metraxas and portals to Phyrexia and stuff onto the board earlier than you already can, which at the moment is around turn 5 or 6, depending on how well you ramp. Which makes it fair. If it was any sooner than that, might be too broken. So who knows? Probably just another of these big expensive things that you can somehow cheat out, and there's already plenty of that in standards. It doesn't get me too excited. Whenever you attack, if a pirate and a vehicle attacked this combat, something happens. Well, I like the fact that it says pirate there. Again, kind of going back to my point about the dinosaur anthem that we just read. You know, vehicles, pirates, artifacts. We've already got a fairly good little pirate brew that's like getting there, and then we got a really cool new 3-drop that makes a treasure and is an anthem effect in foundations. So, bring it on. More vehicles. Already the pirate deck from Ixalan was like a very vehicle-y, artifact-y deck. So bring it on. Like, what was the other? The Schooner made a bit of a splash in standard for a while. Still sees a bit of play here and there in these Azorius. Now they're playing the ley line, the artifact equipment ley line thing. But that's Azorius, and never really been super into that deck. But if it's like more with pirates and vehicles, bring it on. I'm all for that. Next up, and it's the last bullet point from this segment of the blog post. Creatures you control have base power and toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. Misha like this. I wonder what loops we're gonna have to jump through to get to that point, but obviously that's pretty broken if it's not too many or too hard of a loop to jump through. Because 6/6, great, but making also them into oozes there's no real like payoff for that yet. And that's it. The last little segment is always creature type lines from the set, so definitely very speculative. And then he gives us a little bit of details on when to expect certain things. So the debut is going to be on Tuesday, January 21st. Can't wait to watch that, where they finally kick off the spoiler season proper, and we'll get to see some of the details about mechanics and so on from the set. So we've got a seal pirate, a lizard berserker, yay, more lizard support, great, insect archer, core pilot, a robot turtle, artifact creature is cool though, I like that, an ape druid, a zombie cat knight, wow, okay, Vidalcan ranger, and a dinosaur dragon mount. Sheesh, I'd like to take a ride on that. And then a legendary creature. That's the first one so far, which is an Etherborn rogue. And then finally, here are some of the names in the set. Adrenaline jockey. Flood the engine. Gas guzzler. Maximum overdrive. Pedal to the metal. How much do you want to bet that this Road Rage is a 1-mana pump spell that does something broken for red-based prowess decks? Just gonna hazard a guess, because the last like 4 cards, 3 that have had the word rage in it have been like 1-mana red pump spells. And obviously the most popular one of those is Monstrous Rage, and it was absolutely broken. I don't really feel like we need another one of those in standard, but they also have to print sets for limited, and then you end up with like maybe 4 very similar cards in constructed, and then we end up picking the one that's the best one of them. I doubt this will be something that replaces Monstrous Rage. It'll be difficult to make something that's more broken than that, but you never know. But that's definitely a guess that I will go on a limb and make here on camera. We can check in on it as it appears during spoilers Road Rage, my guess is this is a 1 mana red instant spell of some kind. Just gonna go out and say that. Then we've got Roadside Assistance, the Speed Demon, Spin Out, and Siphon Fuel. Epic. Epic! Bring it on, people. Aetherdrift, coming soon. Please sound off in the comments. What do you think about any of the things I've just talked about? Let's get the speculation train going. Join us on the Discord. Let's talk spoilers. You know, as soon as spoilers start coming out, we share, we talk, we discuss over there on the Discord. The more of us there are, the more fun it is. So come join us. I'll always leave a link in the description to how you can join us there. And that is going to have to be it for this one, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be seeing you all in the next one with another fresh brew. It's probably going to be early access. You never know. Maybe I'll have a little fresh brew between now and then. But if not, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.